You need to know this super easy way to record your PC gameplay. We're gonna do it in under 7 minutes. For proof, here's my timer. Editor, let's do it. The most important step is getting OBS. You need to go to obsproject.com and you need to go ahead and hit Windows, Mac, or Linux. Go through your typical install, then finish. And once you have the option, go ahead and right-click your shortcut and select Run as Administrator. Trust me, you'll thank me later. If you've already installed OBS, then don't miss out on any new features by pressing Help and then press Check for Updates. If it says no currently available updates, then fantastic, hit OK. First important thing, let's make sure our resolution is set correctly. Go to Settings, and then you want to go to the Video tab and make sure you have 1920 by 1080 and 1920 by 1080 for your base and your scaled. Having them the same makes things a lot easier in the long run, but if you need to downscale from a higher resolution to a lower resolution, then you can use a downscale filter I recommend by Cubic. Keep your FPS at 60 if you're doing gameplay stuff. If you're not, then do 30. Hit Apply and then hit OK. Let's go ahead and add a scene. Hit the plus icon on the bottom left column of the screen, and then we can rename this to PC Gameplay. If you have a camera, let's go ahead and add that now too. In the Sources section right next to it, hit the plus icon, and then go to Video Capture Device. We're gonna call this one Main Camera. Select the camera that you want and hit OK. And if you don't want to listen to it, then you can mute it as well. Mute. Let's say your video doesn't quite fit the screen for some reason. Let's just say it's like this. You can actually right-click it, hit Transform, and then hit Fit to Screen. And now it's all fixed. Let's add a mic. In order to add a mic, you need to hit the plus icon, and you need to go into Audio Input Capture. We're gonna call this one Mic 1. Hit OK. And you can select whichever mic that you want. If you muted a source, then you might also want to hide that source. In order to do that, you hit the 3 dots next to the source, and then you can do hide. If I wanted to hide both, or if I hid one on accident, then I can actually right-click and I can hit unhide all. You have 3 main options when it comes to recording your PC footage. They are window, game, and display captures. I only like 2 of the 3 of them, so I'm going to talk about those primarily. Hit the plus sign under Sources, and you will see Game Capture. So with Game Capture, whenever you open up a game, it will automatically go ahead and recognize that game and pull it into your OBS for capturing. Again, to remove a source, you right-click and you go remove. The other method is display capture. To do display capture, let's go ahead and hit the source plus sign, and let's do display capture. We'll just call it display capture. In the display section, you can choose the monitor you want to record, and you click OK. You notice that it's not the correct sizing, so we find the source, we right-click it, and then we hit Transform and then Fit to Screen. If you don't want to see either source, in my case it's kind of annoying, while I'm recording this, I can go ahead and hit the eyeball, and then hit the eyeball again. And now, I can't see the sources, and they don't show up in the audio mixer either. We got video, we got audio. Right now, we're gonna go over some useful settings that you should probably know. Hiding OBS's window from display capture, this setting right here, is really good if you're capturing a game or something else, and you need to make some adjustments in OBS, but you don't want people to see that you're doing that. It will basically make the OBS window invisible. So you could wave it around in front of people and they'll never know. Clicking this box right here will let you know when it's stopped recording, which can be very useful. A little further down, under Preview, drawing safe areas can be quite useful, as you will see, because it allows you to know where your content will fit in on certain mediums. If you change anything, make sure you hit Apply, and let's go to Advanced. I like to set my process priority to above normal. That way the system knows to allocate more resources to OBS, which is important. 99% of people will use the color format NV12 instead of any of these other ones. This is a bit technical, but this is what most people are going to use. Color space should be Rec 709. sRGB is good too, but for certain purposes, and your color range will always be limited. I don't have enough time to go into why that's the case. I know full sounds better, but I promise you, don't do it. It is bad unless you know what you're doing. So limited. In the recording section, make sure you click the box automatically remix to MP4. This is very important, and you'll see why later. But the most important settings that you need to know are actually in the Output tab. Hit Output, and then make sure if it's on Simple that you go to Advanced. I've done a lot of videos on how to set up your streaming settings and also your stream, So for now, we're gonna skip past that. You can see those in the description of this video, but I'm pretty sure I'm running out of time. So let's go ahead and go to the recording tab. For recording path, make sure you're going to an SSD or an M2, something that's gonna have a lot easier time recording this kind of quality footage. Recording format needs to be MKV. I know there's a lot of different things here and they all have a different purpose. It's just that you wanna stick with MKV. And the reason you want to stick with MKV is if something happens, like your system crashes, OBS crashes, or both, then you're going to want to make sure that the recordings are still there. If you use MP4, which is easier to work with, the recordings will corrupt immediately. They will die. And that will be sad. You could lose hours of footage just like that. So in order to not lose hours of footage just like that, we will go ahead and use MKV. For your video encoder, make sure you use NVIDIA NVENC HEVC or AMD HEVC or Intel HEVC, whatever you have the option for. Make sure you use HEVC and avoid H.264 if you can. If you cannot, then you can use H.264. If you have a newer graphics card, 4000 series and up, then you can use AV1, which I highly recommend. But these settings are for HEVC users on NVIDIA or AMD or anyone else's side of things. If you want the best audio quality possible, you should do ALAC. Scroll down to rate control, you want CQP. CQ level, you want something like 19 or 20 or 21. The lower the CQ level, the better your quality level. The higher, the worse. I would recommend a CQ level of 20 for most systems. This would be a great time to mention that the next couple settings, including the CQ level, are really going to depend on your system and your hardware setup. Everyone's system is very different, and you will need to do this thing called experimentation. A CQ level of 20 or 18 for that matter probably isn't going to run on a laptop. Keyframe interval, when you're recording, 1, easy. When you're streaming, 2, easy. Preset, you go to slow for good quality. Anything over here in the P6, P7 area is better, but it's diminishing returns and it's very taxing on your system. If you're finding it's too difficult to run P5, then you can also try P4 or even P3. I wouldn't go any lower than P3 personally, but that's up to you. Make sure your tuning's on high quality, ignore this low latency stuff. Make sure your multipass mode is on single pass. Make sure your profile is on main. And turn off cycle visual tuning and look ahead. You don't need it. GPU is probably going to be 0, but the way to find that out is to do Control-Alt-Delete, bring up your task manager, and you can go to performance, and you can see whatever your system says your GPU is, it'll be right here at the bottom. Mine says GPU 0. That means that I'm going to make sure that's GPU 0. Max of 2B frames. It can be anywhere from 1 to 3, but I just kind of go with 2 and split the middle ground. You can apply these settings and then switch to hotkeys. For hotkeys, I strongly recommend you come in here and you set a key for starting recording and stopping recording. In order to delete that key, you just hit this little X button and it will clear it right away. This way you can just look away and just go bang, bang, and it will record and unrecord itself. That doesn't sound right. It will stop recording and start recording. It will start recording and stop. You get what I'm saying. Just make sure whatever key you put in here isn't critical for something else, like your mouse pointer. That's it. Hopefully I made it on time. You could tell me in the comments if I didn't, and if I didn't, then my bad. Remember, whether you have a laptop or a battle station, every system is unique and different, and you're gonna need to experiment with the different options at your disposal, especially in the encoding section. If you're looking for streaming settings, I should have those above my head right now, and that'll help you dial in those perfect stream settings to make your stream look nice and crispy and clean. Otherwise, see you in the next video.